2022 Australian of the Year for New South Wales, Professor Veena Sahajwalla.
Good day everyone, my name is Navneet Anand from Veena Local and Global. When I came to this country 26 years ago, I did have a lot of dreams, but probably I'm still chasing them. Today I got a chance to meet one of an achiever from the Indian heritage, Professor Veena Sahajwalla. Professor Saab, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Navneet ji. Thank you for having me.
Professor Sahajwalla, Director of Sustainable Material Research and Technology. Heavy words. At UNSW, you are an achiever from the Indian heritage that has made all of us proud. Australian of the Year, NSW. What an achievement.
Thank you. Bahut bahut shukriya.
Today we would be trying to know Veena Sahajwalla as an individual more than as a scientist. Let's begin with your childhood.
Okay.
How was it?
You know, my childhood, I was born in Mumbai.
Achha.
And what I really love about the city of Mumbai is, as people who've, perhaps lived there or traveled through Mumbai, know how active and dynamic that city is.
Right? I can see that.
It's almost like one of those cities where you can never get bored. I mean, you could literally be sitting in a corner chai shop and you could just watch all that action and activity, and there's never a dull moment. And I just remember, because we live pretty close to a Churchgate station in Mumbai, it's obviously the station, so busy, so full of people all the time. And I would love that, because in fact my school where I did in Mumbai is pretty close to that area. And I used to just love that because, I'd take the public transport, your typical BEST buses in Mumbai and go to school and other places. I would just enjoy the thrill of just seeing. I think to some extent I probably enjoyed that more than going to school. So that's the thing, if I can sort of paint the picture that you could buy street food, you could, just basically see people who are carrying food, the famous sort of dabbas that come in. Of course, because that's all that, getting to that office area. And to me, my mind would always go to just looking at how people were, one, so resourceful, but the other side always amazed me is that you'd have people carrying all of that load. And there is a lot of science and engineering in that, right?
That's right.
But as a kid, you don't quite still fully kind of understand that. For me, it was just fascinating that all of these people would go about doing this every day, their daily lives. The dabbas would come from their homes, come to the offices, and that was one thing I remember. And then the other thing I remember was the guy who had his little the cobbler who had the mochi, who had his, shop on the street. And I still remember that, where every time I go back to Mumbai, I try and go to that area, because I think to me, again, it's an indication of how people are resourceful, but also how we valued, whether it was our simple shoes, that we would want to go back and get it repaired. And so to me, I love the fact that everyone who provided a service did it with passion, and the fact that you could have a conversation with the cobbler, and he would just explain to you, what kind of heel he's putting, what kind of rubber he's putting and attaching. And I'd like to have that conversation, because then he would explain to you, well, if you put this will last a lot longer, it'll be a lot more sturdy and strong. And so as a kid, even though the goal was just to get your school shoes fixed, but there was
it was more an experience.
It was an experience, and it was a learning experience for me, because I think to me, that's the bit that I found really exciting. that you could sort of take your humble pair of black shoes, your school shoes, and really have this very profound and meaningful conversation with the person who's fixing your shoes, and then he would explain to you. And then, so to me, that was life growing up in Mumbai. It was all this buzz of activity, and of course, food. Oh my gosh, you could get the most, I guess I'd probably say, the best tasting samosas. But you would, but also to me, what was really cool was it was so cheap, right? You didn't have to go to a great restaurant. It was on the street.
And especially the chai in the Linovola glass.
Oh, yes, I love the chais.
The guy is cooking the tea.
And absolutely, and then you'd have the jalebis, because I'm one for the two extremes, the hot spicy samosas. I love both ends of the spectrum, and then the jalebis, and then the chai, and you could get all of that in your pocket, your little pocket change that you would collect. And to me, that was the thing that I'll always carry with me for the rest of my life, right? Because there are some things you grew up with, because there are so many facets that you couldn't quite explain as a kid. It was the fact that there were people who were making a living, but they loved what they did, and they wanted to share what they did. They wanted to talk to you about it, and I think to me, that's that human element of engagement that I love so much.
Taking you back to your childhood once again.
Okay.
The moment I talk about childhood, I can see a bright smile
Yeah.
and a shine on the face.
Yeah.
There must be, I think, thousands of memories that
Yes.
we cherish. But
Yes.
there must be one that we want to relive.
Yes.
What could that be?
I think to me, the memory that, in a way I found the most daunting was I started in a new high school. I came in year 8. Other kids had already started, and I just remember, on one hand, it was a beautiful building which is still there in Mumbai, and every time I walk past it, all those fond memories of your school, and you can kind of remember the time where you were in which balcony where, and all of those memories, because it's such a beautiful physical place, and to me it was that experience of the school and the fact that the surrounds, and to me, the fact that you can always have those memories. On one hand, it was also scary because you come in and you're not sure, and you don't even know how you'll go in the school, and so I guess for me those were the kinds of things that I remember very fondly about my time in my high school, and I guess I finished up year 10 there, and for people who know the system in Mumbai, you did your up to year 10, and then you went to junior college.
That's right.
For years 11 and 12, so I moved to junior college. But I think to me that was really an incredibly amazing experience. It was fun, it was scary, it was challenging, it was tough. I think when you get all those experiences bundled in one, you really enjoy it. Life is not meant to be easy, but it's also meant to have ups and downs, as I'm sure everyone's lives has. That experience that you have when you're a kid, I think in a way makes you more resilient. It makes you stronger, and we forever have to be grateful for what we have. So I am very grateful for the education that I had in India, and to me that's what I learned. I learned about, on one hand, yes, it was things I'm passionate about, the science and all of that, but I also learned about discipline. I learned about how you can be street smart, how you can actually engage with people, and how you can the school allowed you, by the location where we were in.
While growing up,
Yeah.
talking about dreams and aspirations,
Yeah.
what were they?
Oh, it's a very good question, because I think to me, as every child has, right? I mean, you've got so many aspirations around what are the different things you can do, and I think to me, one of the things that I remember thinking, I can't just do one thing, that I have to do multiple things Because if I can find a way to stitch it all together, I can actually find a way to show that, whatever work you do in life, if you can actually, help many people along the way, that would be a good way to think about what kind of work I want to do. So yes, I was always interested in science and engineering and topics that involved, making things and breaking things. So my justification of breaking things always was, well, you can't fix things unless it's broken. So it's all part of learning, part of learning. So,
at that age, when every Indian parent wants their child either to be a doctor or electronics engineer or chemical engineer, but you chose recycling.
Yeah, but I guess, I also did do engineering, which is what I did my undergraduate in. So you're absolutely right. I think that focus on science and engineering is definitely there, and for me to have taken the path of engineering in specifically, of course, now the work that I do with waste and recycling has always been a bit of a fascination, again, because if you look at all the sort of, whether it's the kabadiwalas in Mumbai, or whether it's
that's recycling.
Exactly, that's what it is. And that's why I'd always find that exciting, because it'd be like, okay, so these guys are actually kind of really, helping communities, because to some extent, you could buy affordable products.
Of that, yes.
You could buy affordable products. Everyone was a winner, right? And at that time, to me, what I could see was they provided a very important service.
One of the research that brought the recycling of waste to forefront was the use of tires.
Yes.
For steel making.
Yes.
Tell us more about
Yes, that's right. So I remember in the early days when I was thinking about some of this work, it was always challenging, because there are always going to be lots of naysayers, right? People are going to go, oh, you're just burning tires, it's not good for the environment. And I think what, fast forward all these years, that we've proven is the fact is that you're not burning tires.
Yes.
That's the whole point. You're actually using it in the process of making steel. And the goal is to be able to reduce and completely eliminate the need for coal in these steel making furnaces. And so for the electric arc furnace steel making, for us, it really became not only, hey, we've got to first prove that the science works, it was also equally important that if the science does work, then how are we going to implement it? So you had to, in a way, ask a lot of these questions at the start of that journey, because you had to be able to show that, it's not just about whatever scientific experiment you do in your lab, which of course is indeed important, but you have to not stop there. Those scientific experiments, you have to think how you're going to actually convert that into actual real-world solutions. So I think, to me, that bit of how you make real-world solutions come to life is so critical. So the ability to actually use waste tires in a form that you are actually injecting it. So our technology is called polymer injection technology.
Thinking outside the box. It is like Sone Pe Suhaga. One is saving the environment, and second is the economic benefits to the industries and maintaining and creating jobs for the Australian residents and citizens.
Yes.
What a wonderful idea,
Thank you.
Absolutely. Great.
Thank you.
One of the modern days challenges is the e-waste.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not many people talk about it, or probably there is not much of awareness that has been generated on this e-waste.
Yes, exactly right. Well, you know what, it's interesting, we talk about it, here we are, using all kinds of beautiful electronic devices, the cameras, which then have got batteries in it, and you think about the modern world and the fact that we've got electronics no matter where we look, whether it is in our homes, in our offices, in hospitals, schools, universities. Electronics is everywhere. It's an integral part of our lives now. So I think that, to me, is offered so many opportunities for people across the world when we make these products, available we're actually enabling people to learn, to study, to do all of those things that might not have been possible otherwise. But on the other hand, what we also have to see is that, is there a way we can actually preserve those materials? You know, metals like copper that go into making our electronics and electrical equipment. I think we need to be able to say, well, if these metals are important to making these products, how do we ensure that we're going to preserve those and we're not going to treat them as waste at the end of its life? So we shouldn't be even calling e-waste as waste, but rather really just saying that, look, if a product has stopped working or has become obsolete, it's just waiting for its next life. The materials like metals in them are really useful. They just need to be converted into the next product and the next product.
Well, Professor Veena Sahajwalla, if not doing an experiment in the lab at UNSW, while at home, do you enjoy cooking at all?
You know, it's funny. I think this is where you might have to get the opinion from my husband. I think you'll get the real answer, which I will tell you. You know, I'm the person who will probably try to find the simplest way to get there. And if the simplest way means, let's just get takeaway. Whereas my husband is the connoisseur. You know, he loves you know, cooking and trying different things, and to me, you know, I have to admit, he is a much better cook, and he is so. I mean, in fact, our daughters will also probably say, no, I think let's go with Dad's.
A scientist, have you ever been scared of anything at all? Ever?
Oh, okay. Have I ever been scared of anything? I think perhaps, you know, the thing that I really, in a way, it is scary sometimes, is when you go to some places, you know, in different parts of the world and I've traveled through a few places where I've actually, you know, visited the various sort of waste sites, and I think to me the scary part is when you're actually in it and you're looking at different piles, and we talk about electronic waste, and I remember being in a place where I saw both e-waste and I saw textile waste.
Okay.
And I think that was scary, because I thought, wow, you know, it's a big challenge, but it's that same, you know, call it fear of the unknown, and in my case, the fear of the unknown is, how are we going to get there? How are we going to address these big challenges? It is a grand challenge for global citizens in so many different fronts, environmentally, you know, socially. But if you actually then convert that into a positive, you can actually deliver, you know, really positive environmental and social impacts on our communities globally.
You know, what a wonderful conversation. I would love to continue on and on and on. But concluding this interview, what's on your wish list?
Well, really on my wish list, it's a very I guess simple thing. I would probably say to everyone, you know, young kids, to their families and parents and adults and grandparents alike, you know, keep motivating your young kids coming through, whether they are in school or universities or young professionals, because to me that's really what inspires me when I look at so many young people, you know, at the University of New South Wales at Smart Centre, and I look at how passionate they are. I think to me that's what we can do, is to inspire future generations to really pursue their passion and to help them. You just never know when you give some words of inspiration, that you might inspire a lot of people even without realizing it. So perhaps the best thing we can all do is really inspire each other with our stories and with our actions.
Thank you so much. On behalf of my whole team of Voice Article and Fiji Times, Arvind Singh, Pankaj Tangri and Tarun Yadav, once again, have a wonderful day and thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
जी हाँ, आज हमने की प्रोफेसर वीना सहजवाला से बातचीत और मैं आपका नवनीत. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Navneet ji.
One-stop answer to your Australian education and visa matters. GEMCO Sydney. Dream big, achieve big.
Fiji Times. Be with the times.